King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are a band from Melbourne, Australia. They were formed in 2010 and they've had barely any change in members since then. They're known for their vastly varying styles, although the word psychedelic crops up a lot. They've been prolific. They recorded 23 albums by the end of 2022. I would say how many they have now, but between recording this and publishing it, there's a good chance they'll have released another one. Hi, my name's Dan. So this was the eighth studio album by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and it's my first encounter with them as a band, and therefore with this album as well. The first problem that I have is describing this, but I'm not alone in this. The Wikipedia page for this album lists these styles: progressive rock, psychedelic rock, garage rock, jazz fusion, heavy metal. And if you were to take that description and try and imagine what it might be like, I think you are likely to not get the right idea anyway. But let's pick through these because actually doing so hopefully will give me a good hook into the description. So, progressive rock. Well, I'm not sure I would describe it as being that full on, but there are elements in there. So there's definitely unusual rhythms and unusual bar lengths, so 7/8 rather than 4/4 and other things like that. And the whole album is a cycle of songs that lead and bleed into each other, and they have their multi-part songs. And when I say a cycle, it actually is intended so that it will, if you get to the end of the album, you could play it through to the start of it and keep going round and round. Um, Psychedelic rock, well, there's a tendency for it to kind of feel like it's rolling on. They set up a groove and they play on that. Very busy and full. It's got a lot of multi-tracking, like the wall of sound technique sounds. There's some kind of swirly sound effects and audio processing. It has a kind of occasionally a 60s and a neo psychedelic sound to it. It's also got some Eastern musical harmonic ideas and melodic ideas in here, which kind of emphasize that as well. There's the use of rock organ and harmonica, which I'm not sure if that makes it more psychedelic. It's got a kind of bluesy feel to it, which roots it back in the 60s, I guess. Um, Most of the singing has some instrument playing a tune at the same time as the singing, which is very unusual. But also, I think, emphasizes that psychedelic feel. Right, let's move on to garage rock. So it does have a kind of lo-fi mushiness to it. It's got slightly overdriven sound, as if it was been recorded on equipment pushing a little bit to the limit. And I guess at times the way things have been played reminded me of people like the White Stripes, only a little bit. Moving on, jazz fusion. Really not sure how that has come into it. I can't hear anything that I would say was jazz-like, but somebody else probably knows better than me. And then the last one is heavy metal, and this one confuses me because it's really not, or at least not in my head. So most of the guitar is quite jangly and not overdriven. But sometimes the guitar and the bass play the same line, which is a kind of metal thing. And also, I guess some of the Eastern musical ideas make it feel a bit more metal. I don't know. I would say it's a stretch to call this heavy metal. But the Australian Recording Industry Association Music Awards, the ARIA Awards, awarded this as the best hard rock slash heavy metal album in 2016. So again, maybe they have a better handle on these genres than I do, but apparently that was controversial. Um, it goes mostly at a frantic and infectious speed. It barely lets up for the whole 40 minutes. It's got this huge sound and it just rolls on and on and on. And it just basically generates this feeling of energy and perpetual motion. I got a feeling they must be amazing live, especially if they play this kind of stuff. But the impression that I've got is that other albums of theirs are incredibly different from each other and from this album. So I wonder what that would mean live. Do they do one particular style or do they mix it all up? I don't know. If you've seen them live, please do let me know. Um, anyway, I liked it quite a bit, actually, quite a lot, this album. I found it very engaging. It's an unusual sound, an unusual approach, but they go at it with a great deal of enthusiasm and skill, which makes for a good album. So I think. What do you think? Please tell me what you think through the comments. That's it for me for now.